Hi, welcome to Just Say Something with Johanna Walker. I'm Johanna Walker, founder of Get Real Public Speaking, and here I am on the porch of my office on Pearl Street with the Flatirons in the distance on this lovely gray Boulder afternoon. I want to tell you a story. Okay, so if you followed me at all, if you've been following me for any amount of time, you've probably heard me talk about how I was a really good, quiet, well-behaved girl. And I would go for days without speaking. And this followed me into my teenage years and young adulthood, and certainly now, even as an adult, I still find myself often the quiet one in the room. But I'm also the one in front of the room. I'm also the one on stages in front of hundreds of people. So change happens, transformation happens. And it's a lifetime journey. You know, it doesn't happen overnight. But there are moments you can point to, and I want to tell you about one moment that things shifted for me. I was part of this training, and there had been some conflict in the group around issues of diversity and inclusion. So we did this ceremony ritual to sort of recover the group cohesion. And the leaders wanted to burn some sage, but there was one person who was chemically sensitive and couldn't breathe the smoke. So they announced at the beginning that they'd had a conversation with her. She was going to wait out in the hallway until the smoke dissipated, and then she would come and join the circle. And I thought, that's kind of weird. This ritual about diversity and inclusion, we're making someone sit out in the hallway alone. But all right, they talked to her. Everything's cool. It must be fine. Everything's cool. So we sat in a circle and we started. And there was a stone in the middle, and you had to get up and pick up the talking stone and come back to your spot in the circle to speak. And so I'm sitting there in the circle and I'm thinking, this doesn't seem right, but nobody else is saying anything, so that must mean I'm wrong. Nobody else has said anything yet, so my thinking must be faulty. But it just kind of kept eating away at me. And besides, speaking into the group was like monumental task of crossing moats and moats of terror and risk and risking shame and humiliation. And not only did I have to speak, but I had to get up out of my seat and pick up the stone and get back to my seat and speak. So that was not going to happen. The person came back into the room, and it's still kind of eating at me, and still nobody else is saying anything. And then I remembered something a teacher had said. He said, when you speak for 340 million people who are standing behind you, who, for whatever reason, aren't ready to speak yet. And so I did it. I got this picture of the 340 million people behind me, and I said, well, if I'm wrong, then there are 340 people who are wrong also. And so I got myself up out of the seat, and I went to the middle of the circle, and I picked up the stone, and I came back to the circle, and I said, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. And in that moment, the person who'd been in the hallway started crying, and the whole energy in the room went just kind of shifted and lined up with the truth that had been spoken. And we carried on from there, and as it turned out, it was really, really important that I say that. And so that was a moment for me when I really got in my bones. This is the kind of thing you hear over and over again, but there are moments where you get it in your bones, and this was one of those moments where I got it in my bones. It's not about you. It's really not about you. It's about that person in the circle who, for whatever reason, can't speak for herself, and it's about the 340 million people behind you who you're speaking for. So if you're sitting on something, some idea, some big idea, and you're not quite sure who's going to laugh at you, who's going to ridicule you, is it going to be accepted, is it going to be, is it boring, is it bad, is it wrong, is it whatever your little inner critic is saying. If you have a call, if you're called to speak, I say speak. I say get out there and say it, whether it's in a room of 6 people or 30 people or 50 people or 500 people. Just say it. Just say something. And you're going to open a door, you're going to pave a way, you're going to start a new conversation, you're going to make space for someone else to be able to be more fully present. It's not about you. It's not about you. So tell us the story. tell us what you have to say. Just say something. All right? Have a great week.